right? As it happens, scoring runs in this game, critical part of that operation is getting them on base. And the Rangerettes did a much better job of that on Tuesday. So everyone getting set here. They're about to announce the starting lineups. They'll have the girls heading out to the field and taking their positions before the Lady Bulldogs come to bat as we kick off in the top of the first. 4:30 first pitch we're scheduled for. So I believe the starting lineups will be announced right now. And here in a moment, we'll hear the anthem as we get set for this game this afternoon. You're listening to Perryton Rangerette Softball on 97.3 My FM. We'll be right back.
Batting second, the shortstop, number 4, Brooke Castaneda. Batting third, the third baseman, number 15, Emily Bridges. Batting fourth, the second baseman, number 12,
you okay?
Natalie Chisholm. Batting fifth, the catcher,
That's okay.
number 28,
That's good.
Jared Callahan. Batting sixth, the first baseman, number 13, Kayla Knoll. Batting seventh, the left fielder, number 2, Tylen Saxon.
I think so.
Batting eighth, the right fielder, number 5, Mackenzie Nivens. Batting ninth, the center fielder, number 8, Kendall Down. The reserves for the Lady Bulldogs are number 1, Braylee Richburg, number 11, Kinley Mitchell, and number 55, Adriah Loftus. They're coached by Steve Watkins, assisted
Welcome
by
back,
Todd Myers and Katie Evans.
ladies and gentlemen, to Rangerette Field.
Now,
We're
ladies and
just
gentlemen, the starting lineup
beginning
for
to
Perryton Rangerettes.
introduce the starting
Leading off,
lineup
the shortstop, number
for
9,
your Perryton
Kenya
Rangerettes.
Navarrete. Batting second, the second baseman,
That'll
number
be
18,
shortstop
Maisie McGoy.
Tanya Navarrete leading off when
Batting
the
third,
Rangers
the
come
third
to the
baseman, number
Rangerettes
17,
rather, come to
Ivana
the
Garcia.
home half of the first, followed by Maisie
Batting fourth,
McGoy,
the center fielder, number
who'll be
2,
playing
Dahlia
second base.
Besserell.
Ivana Garcia bats in the 3-hole
Batting
at
fifth,
third
the
base.
left fielder, number 8,
Dahlia
Maya
Besserell
Valenzuela.
in center field will
Batting
serve
sixth,
as cleanup.
designated player, number 4,
Maya
Brian Cowan.
Valenzuela in left field will bat fifth.
Batting seventh,
And the
first
designated
baseman,
player
number
Kylie
10,
Cowan
Cameron Curl.
today will bat in the
Batting
6-hole.
eighth, the pitcher,
And
number
first
1,
baseman
Michael
Camry
Landeros.
Curl will be 7th. Michael Landeros, your starting
Batting
pitcher,
ninth, the right fielder, number 5, Ivory
will
Chavez.
bat 8th. And Ivory Chavez,
His
starting
position
in the
flex
right field,
position,
will bat
the
9th.
catcher, Michaela Roberts.
So as the girls
Reserved for the Rangerettes are number
hustle
3,
out,
Vanessa Tavera,
Michaela
number
Roberts
16, Maria Besserell. The
to
head coach
follow
for
up.
Perryton Rangerettes is Tessa
And
Powell.
as the
She's
girls
assisted
get
by
set
Tabitha
out
Odell
there,
and
we'll
Tammy Applehans.
kick things
Now
off
please
here in
stand.
just a moment
Gentlemen, remove your caps as
with
we
the
honor
national
Mary with
anthem.
the playing of our national anthem.
I'll remain silent as it plays so you can all hear it. begin warming up as we get set for this District 4 4A matchup between the Borger Lady Bulldogs and your Perryton Rangerettes. As I mentioned earlier, many positive takeaways from the Rangerettes' last game Tuesday in Hereford. They managed to show some pretty good run production. The defense, a much better job. And the pitching was pretty solid. Probably still more walks and free bases issued than Coach Powell would like, but it certainly was not to the point that it was a lot of trouble. It certainly kept the Rangerettes in it throughout the entirety of that game. And away we go, folks. The Rangerettes, a little pregame gathering inside the circle to say, hey, the team that just barely got by us on Tuesday beat these girls. Now, if we stay on top of our game, we can do some good here. So the Rangerette infielders scatter back to their positions. Michaela Roberts back to her spot behind home plate, and Rayleigh Jennings, the pitcher for the Lady Bulldogs, steps in. She takes the first offering and hits a pop fly that is corralled very nicely by Tanya Navarrete, the shortstop, as she drifts over toward the left field line. So just like that, one pitch and one out for the Rangerettes. And that brings Brooke Castaneda, the shortstop for the Lady Bulldogs, to the plate. And she looks at the first pitch high for ball one. Michael Landeros so far has thrown a ball and a strike. And it took two hitters to get there. That ball from Landeros up and away for ball two to Castaneda. Well, as Castaneda digs in, ready for the 2-0 pitch, and takes that one just a little bit up in the zone, which runs the count to 3 balls and no strikes. Landeros looking to get another out, but just like that, on 4 pitches, walks the Lady Bulldog shortstop. So a 1-out walk issued by Michael Landeros. And that brings Emily Bridges, the third baseman for the Lady Bulldogs, to the plate with 1 out here in the top of the first. The initial offering is attempted to be bunted by Bridges, and that ball, she's just a little bit too tall for that pitch, and that ball is fouled back to the backstop. So no balls and a strike to Bridges. And the 0-1 pitch just a bit inside. Ooh, and a great snap throw on the stealing runner by Roberts down to second base, but just not in time to get Castaneda, who is into second base safely with the stolen base. So a runner in scoring position now for the Lady Bulldogs, as Bridges steps back in with a 1-1 count. The 1-1 pitch is up and away, but fouled off by Bridges out over the first base side. So just like that, Landeros ahead of Bridges, a ball and 2 strikes. So the 1-2 pitch now. And that ball, line drive into right center. That's going to make it all the way to the fence or bring around Castaneda, and Bridges is in safely with a stand-up double. So with 1 out here in the top of the first, the Lady Bulldogs now lead the Rangerettes 1-0 and have a runner in the form of Emily Bridges on second base. The initial offering to number 12, Natalie Chisholm, the second baseman for the Lady Bulldogs, is just a bit outside for ball one. So a ball and no strikes to Chisholm. And the second offering from Landeros, just a bit high. 2 balls and no strikes. Chisholm digs back in and awaits the 2-0 pitch. Takes that one in the inside part of the plate for strike one. And that runs the count to 2 balls and a strike to Chisholm. Landeros seeming to have found the zone a bit better. That pitch just a bit high. So 3 balls and a strike now to Chisholm. Chisholm with an opportunity to drive in another run here with a solid base hit. Landeros hoping not to do that. 3-1. And that pitch just a bit high. And Chisholm gets the 1-out walk. So runners at first and second now for the Lady Bulldogs, with 1 out here in the top of the first. And Landeros finding herself digging deep, find that strike zone. That pitch is a strike to Jarrett Callahan, the Lady Bulldog catcher, but she fouls it off over the first base dugout for strike one. So a little bit better start here for Landeros and the Rangerettes. 0-1. And that pitch from Landeros to Callahan high for ball one, and that evens the count at a ball and a strike. The next offering called by home plate umpire Joe Gorman, strike 2. So Landeros ahead of Callahan now, a ball and 2 strikes. And the 1-2 offering up and away and dropped by catcher Michaela Roberts, but manages to corral it before it gets too far away to hold the runners where they are currently at first and second. So 2 balls, 2 strikes to Callahan. And she reaches for a pitch up and away, but fouls it off to the backstop. So the count will remain 2 balls and 2 strikes. So the Borger catcher sweeps a little dirt out from under her feet in the batter's box and settles in. The 2-2 pitch from Landeros. A hit sky high to right field. And on her way back, but not being able to corral it, is Ivory Chavez. So another run comes from second to home for the Lady Bulldogs, and there's a play at the plate and called safe by Joe Gorman. So 2 more runs in for the Lady Bulldogs on the high fly ball hit just over the head of Ivory Chavez in right field. Jarrett Callahan with the 2 RBI hit, and she will leave second base now and be replaced by a courtesy runner, as she is the catcher. Courtesy runner Braley Richburg enters the game. So Richburg stands at second, 1 out on the top of the first, 3 runs across for the Lady Bulldogs as Kayla Knowles settles in. Kayla takes the first offering from Landeros outside for ball 1. So a ball and no strikes to Knoll, the Lady Bulldog first baseman. 1-0 pitch high to Knoll, with 2 balls and no strikes now. Again, the courtesy runner, Braley Richburg, at second base, with 1 out here in the top of the first. And that pitch up and away from Landeros to run the count to Knoll to 3 balls and no strikes. Landeros taking her time here to try to make a bit of an adjustment. 3-0 pitch is up in the zone, and another base on balls issued to the Lady Bulldogs. So runners now at first and second again with just one out here in the opening frame. The Rangerettes will take a moment to gather inside the circle. That gives Coach Steve Watkins an opportunity to visit with his upcoming hitter, Kylan Saxon, the Lady Bulldogs left fielder. And as Joe Gorman goes up to break up the meeting inside the circle, everyone scatters back to their positions, and Kylan Saxon digs in. So one out here, runners at first and second for the Lady Bulldogs. The initial offering from Landeros outside and called ball one to Saxon. She settles in again, and the 1-0 pitch to Saxon. That one catches the outside part of the plate. A little bit of an off-speed pitch from Landeros, just to try to get one on Saxon. So a ball and a strike to Kylan. The 1-1 offering just a bit outside, according to Gorman. So 2 balls and a strike now to Saxon. Runners still at first and second. Now that pitch up and away just a bit. So very much a hitter's count now to Saxon. 3 balls and a strike here. And the 3-1 delivery up and away for the 4th walk issued by Landeros. And that loads the bases with the Lady Bulldogs. 1 out again here in the top of the first. And that brings up Mackenzie Nivens, the Lady Bulldog right fielder, with the bases jammed. And the initial offering to Nivens, just a bit low or maybe a bit inside, I couldn't tell, but Mr. Gorman thought that was ball one. So a ball and no strikes. And that pitch catches the inside corner to even the count at a ball and a strike to Nivens. Nivens looking to add to a 3-run opening frame here for the Lady Bulldogs. And the 1-1 pitch well outside from Landeros, corralled nicely by Roberts, and all of the runners stay put. And Nivens now looks at 2 balls and a strike. Now that ball, she was a little bit out in front of, caught it foul down the first base side to the home dugout for strike 2. That'll even the count for Nivens. 2 balls and 2 strikes. She settles in to receive the 2-2 offering from Landeros, who delivers and gets her with an off-speed pitch on the outside part of the plate. Nice pitch by Landeros, who gets the strikeout for out number 2 here in the top of the first. So 2 away here. The base is still loaded full of Lady Bulldogs. And the initial offering from Landeros to Kendall Downs is caught and nubbed sort of foul down the third baseline. And Landeros quickly ahead of Downs. No balls and 1 strike. So 0-1. Landeros delivers, and that ball is hit sharply, but right at shortstop Tanya Navarrete, who makes the quick throw to the close one at third base. And as it is corralled by Ivana Garcia, that will retire the side. So 3 runners left on base for the Lady Bulldogs in the top half of the first, but they managed 3 runs on 2 hits. And we go to the bottom of the first. It'll be your Rangerettes coming up when we get back on 97.3 My FM. Well, welcome back, everyone, and a much better start for the Rangerettes versus the last time around against these Lady Bulldogs from Borger. The Rangerettes allowed 3 runs on 2 hits, but managed to get the Lady Bulldogs, leaving them with 3 runners on. So as we kick off the bottom half of the first, it'll be Tanya Navarrete leading off for your Rangerettes, hoping to get things started, get some base runners on. So after a few celebratory jumps and shoulder knocks inside the circle, the Lady Bulldogs scatter to their position, and in steps Navarrete to the box. Rayleigh Jennings, the Lady Bulldog pitcher, and the initial offering from Jennings is low and taken by Navarrete for ball 1. Well, a ball and no strikes to the Rangerette shortstop, who made the ending play, the play that ended the top half of the first, actually, but a swing and a miss here. So a ball and a strike now to Navarrete. She digs in and sets, and that ball he manages to get on top of, but fouls it off toward the Rangerette dugout. So Navarrete is going to have to work a little bit harder here. She's down in the count, a ball and 2 strikes. She settles in, and that ball is hit well in the right center, but the right fielder, Mackenzie Nivens, drifts to her right and manages to make the play. So 1 down in the home half of the first for the Rangerettes. And that's going to bring Maisie McGoy to the plate. Maisie, who on Tuesday had 3 hits on as many pitches against Hereford pitching, and grounds that ball to third base side, but corralled by Emily Bridges, who successfully makes the play over to Kayla Knoll, the Lady Bulldog first baseman, for out number 2. So already, although not managing to find any gaps in the defense, the Rangerettes putting the bat on the ball is certainly a good sign for Coach Powell. So that brings Ivana Garcia, the Rangerette home run leader, to the plate, and she looks at ball 1 low from Jennings. Navarrete looking to add to her total, and she rockets one between the third baseman and the shortstop for a 2-out single for the Rangerettes. And 2 pitches in, the Rangerettes have a base runner in one Ivana Garcia standing at first base. So that brings cleanup hitter Dahlia Bessaril to the plate, 2 down. And she looks at the initial offering from Jennings on the inside part of the plate for strike 1. And Bessaril hoping to just get a chance and something good enough to hit to be able to move Garcia, but that second pitch is fouled off down the third base line for strike 2. So very quickly, Bessaril down in the count, no balls and 2 strikes. She settles back in with the count 0-2 and looks at a ball high from Jennings for ball 1. So 1-2 now, the count to number 2. And she settles back in, thinks that offering has popped up and looks to be out of play just to the catcher's right, an outside Rangerette field. So Bessaril stays alive, having fouled that one off, and the count remains a ball and 2 strikes. And Jennings winds and delivers, and that one fouled straight back as well to the backstop. This one, however, remains in the field of play. And Besseril doing a good job here of staying alive and getting herself an opportunity to look at another pitch. So she settles in with a ball and 2 strikes. And that one fouled off outside Rangerette field off to the right side.
Literally.
So far, a pretty good at-bat for Besseril. And Garcia remains at first base with 2 outs for the Rangerettes here in the bottom of the first. Besseril digs back in with a ball and 2 strikes. Home plate umpire Joe Gorman stops play for just a moment to issue a warning of some kind to Rayleigh Jennings, the Lady Bulldog pitcher, trying to slow that pace down so he can see what she's doing. That 1-2 offering low to Besseril, and stealing Garcia. The throw a little bit errant to second base, gets all the way through to the center fielder, but Garcia holds up at second base, sliding in safely for Besseril, now in scoring position. And that ball bounces to home plate and manages to catch part of Besseril's foot.
Now batting, number 8.
So Dolly is hit by the pitch and takes first base. And with 2 outs now in the bottom of the first, the Rangerettes have a little something going as Maya Valenzuela strides to the batter's box. They're giving Besseril just a moment to try to walk that one off a little bit after she got down the line to first base. But she assures home plate umpire Joe Gorman that she's okay and steps in. Gorman will assume his position behind catcher Jara Callahan and let Jennings know she's okay. So Maya Valenzuela here with a runner in scoring position takes the initial offering from Jennings off the inside corner for strike 1. No balls and a strike to Valenzuela. And Valenzuela hits that one but pops it up down the first base line. A fair ball. But not touched by any of the Lady Bulldog players and bounces foul. So no balls and 2 strikes now to Valenzuela, looking to get on top of one here. And down in the count, she's going to have to work hard. The 0-2 pitch up and away for ball 1. A ball and 2 strikes now to Valenzuela with an opportunity to get the Rangerettes on the board. And that ball's hit pretty hard and corralled by the second baseman and dropped. And that leaves Amaya safe at first base. And the initial run scores in the body of a Garcia. Excuse me. So as that play settles out, you now have Valenzuela at first base and Besseril all the way around to third. That brings up Kylie Cowan, who looks at the first offering from Jennings for ball 1. I apologize, folks. I'm a little choked up there as that last play ended. Cowan takes the second pitch down the right field line, but foul for strike 1. So the count now to Kylie Cowan, a ball and a strike. With runners at first and third and 2 out here in the bottom of the first, the Rangerettes threatening to do more damage. And that ball squibbed kind of on the ground to second base, and the play perfectly executed by Natalie Chisholm to get Kylie Cowan at first base. So that'll do it for the Rangerettes in the bottom half of the first, but they do get one back, which brings the score to Borger 3 and Perryton 1. The Rangerettes leave 2 on base, and we'll move to the top of the second in just a moment. You're listening to Perryton Rangerette Softball on 93.7 My FM.
Ranch, we operate in partnership with many businesses, one being PTCI. PTCI brings us high-speed internet, broadband for our television service here at home. We appreciate PTCI, especially the service they bring us. We're very grateful for having high-speed internet here in the rural environment. It would be difficult to operate without our partnership with PTCI.
So as we close out the first inning here in Perryton, it's Borger 3, Perryton 1, and back to the top of the lineup for the Lady Bulldogs. The pitcher Rayleigh Jennings steps in and takes the initial offering from Landeros right down the middle for a strike. So no balls and a strike to Jennings. The 0-1 pitch from Landeros up and away for ball one. 1-1 now to the Lady Bulldog pitcher. And all set. The next pitch well inside, as a matter of fact, behind the hitter, and gets away from Michaela Roberts for a wild pitch. But with no one on, there's no harm done, and it's 2 balls and a strike now to Jennings. The 2-1 pitch to Jennings from Landeros up in the zone, and that moves the count to 3-1. So Jennings looking for something she can get hold of here. The 3-1 pitch, a bit low, and the walk issued to Rayleigh Jennings. So with no one out in the top half of the second inning, the Lady Bulldogs already have a base runner on in the form of Jennings, and that brings Brooke Castaneda to the plate. She digs in and attempts to bunt the initial offering from Landeros, but misses for strike one. So pretty clear what the Lady Bulldogs strategy is so far. The second or third hitter that has attempted a bunt in these first 2 half innings. And that ball swung on and driven to center field. And Dahlia Bessaril on her way back manages for it to go off the glove, and a great throw to third base, and they're going to get her. The pitcher Rayleigh Jennings trying to run from second to third on the great throw from Bessaril in center is tagged out.
Number 15, Emily Bridges.
So the Lady Bulldogs have 1 down now in the top of the second inning. And Brooke Castaneda standing at second base. And another bunt attempted and successfully executed by Emily Bridges on the first offering from Landeros. So that moves Castaneda to third. And Bridges is in at first with an infield hit with that bunt.
Number 28, Dara Callahan.
And I believe that will be an error charge to Dahlia Bessaril on the drop fly ball. out in center field, but a great recovery with that throw to get the runner at third. So Natalie Chisholm steps in and takes the initial offering for a strike. And the second pitch from Landeros is low. It scoots just a little bit away from Roberts to even the count at a ball and a strike. Landeros toes the rubber and winds and delivers, and that one, a little bit of an off-speed pitch on the outside part of the plate, swung on and missed by Chisholm. So Landeros ahead of this one. And a ball and 2 strikes. The snap throw to third by Roberts, not in time. And that pitch behind Chisholm, and that's going to even the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Lady Bulldogs now runners at second and third with 1 out here in the top of the second. Threatening again. That pitch just a bit inside, enough to push Chisholm back a little ways. And that fills the count up. 3 balls and 2 strikes. And delivery and another K for Landeros. And that pitch, she took something off that one and got Chisholm reaching.
Number 28, Jara Callahan.
So now with 2 outs in the top of the second, that brings Jara Callahan, the Lady Bulldog catcher, to the plate. She looks at one up and away for ball 1. And the Lady Bulldogs still looking to try to capitalize on runners from second and third, but so far no one across. And the second pitch from Landeros well up and away for ball 2. Almost as though she is deliberately staying on the outside part of the plate and just getting a little too high to get Callahan to offer. So 2 balls and no strikes. And that ball just nubbed off the handle of the bat. Bounces in front of Landeros, who corrals it off the hop. So basically a swinging bunt there by Callahan. And that will bring a run in for the Lady Bulldogs. And that will be their 3rd hit of the game. So 4-1 now with 2 outs in the top of the first.
Number 13, Kay
And the
Hall.
Lady Bulldogs with runners at first and third as Kyla Knowles steps in. And she tries to bunt the initial offering, but is well on top of the ball, and that ball scoots foul to the backstop off the bat of Knowles. So no balls and a strike to Knoll as Landeros settles in and prepares to deliver the 0-1 pitch. And does, but that ball just a bit high. And the pinch runner for Callahan, who appears to be Richburg again, scoots down to second base with no throw. Ooh, and that ball hit hard to left, but on a rope, and Maya Valenzuela corrals it for out number 3. So that'll do it for the Lady Bulldogs in the top of the second. They do manage 1 run on 2 more hits, but leave 2 more runners on base. Well, that'll bring the Rangerettes up at the bottom half of the second. When we get back, you're listening to Rangerettes Softball on 93.7 My FM. Well, welcome back to Rangerette Field. We get set to start the home half of the second inning. And all of the girls fighting that northwest 16 or so mile an hour wind, affecting throws from home to second. And just about everything, especially fly balls, hit. But leading off for the Rangerettes will be Camry Curl. Now the Rangerette first baseman. And she's swinging at the first pitch from Jennings and fouls it off over the first base dugout and out of play. But much more aggressive at the plate are all the Rangerettes. 0-1 to Camry, who takes a good cut at a pitch low and away and misses for strike two. So Camry Curl in an 0-2 hole here. Ooh, and gets fooled by the off-speed pitch from Jennings. So 3 pitches in, and Camry Curl goes down swinging. And that'll be Rayleigh Jennings' first strikeout of the game. So with one down, that brings up pitcher Michael Landeros. And she swings and misses at the first offering from Jennings. So no balls and a strike to Landeros, looking to help herself as she settles in. That ball a bit down in the zone, but swung on anyway and missed by Landeros. So much like Curl in an 0-2 hole. And offers just too much to hold up. She tried to check her swing, but couldn't get it done on that low pitch from Jennings. So Landeros goes down swinging as well for Jennings' second strikeout of the game. Right fielder Ivory Chavez steps in with 2 down at the bottom of the second. And she takes a mean swing at the first offering from Jennings, but comes up empty there as well. So no balls and a strike to Chavez. And another pitch just a bit up in the zone, and Chavez under it with a good swing, but misses just like on the first one. So no balls and 2 strikes to Chavez. And that ball Chavez manages to get a piece of and fouls back on the third base side to the backstop to stay alive. So no balls and 2 strikes is where the count will remain. And Chavez just looking to do anything she can to get on base. Fouls off another pitch from Jennings. This one a little bit up and away. Chavez fouls it off to the backstop on the first base side. Still 0-2 to Chavez. And the Rangerette right fielder digs in and looks at the off-speed pitch that got a good little bit of break on it and a called third strike by home plate umpire Joe Gorman. So that'll do it. 1-2-3 for the Rangerettes in the bottom of the second. But still much better than the previous outing against these Lady Bulldogs for the Rangerettes. It's 4-1 after 2, and we'll be back for the start of the third inning on 93.7 My FM. So as we get set to begin the third inning, Rangerette Field, Kylan Saxon will be leading off for the Lady Bulldogs. And after 2 full innings, Borger leads it 4-1. But again, the Rangerettes doing much, much better than in their initial outing against the Lady Bulldogs. So Kylan Saxon settles in. And she looks at the initial offering from Landeros high for ball 1. Saxon drew a walk in her first at-bat and looks at the 1-0 pitch, takes a pretty good swing and fouls it off straight behind the umpire to the backstop. Will run the count to a ball and a strike. And grabbing at her right shoulder just a bit is Saxon, who seems to have tried a little too hard maybe on that pitch. And that pitch she looks at on the inside part of the plate for strike 2 from Landeros. So a ball and 2 strikes now to Saxon. And that pitch drilled right into left field, corralled very quickly by Valenzuela in left. Had a nice piece of hitting for Saxon and drills that one for a leadoff single. And that's going to bring Mackenzie Nivens to the plate. Nobody out for the Lady Bulldogs. And Saxon, the lone runner, at first base. Nivens takes ball 1 from Landeros. Just a bit inside and maybe a bit high. So the 1-0 pitch bunted and successfully put out by the pitcher Landeros, but Nivens gets the job done and moves the runner Saxon on down to second base. So score that a sacrifice bunt for Nivens, but there is 1 out now in the top of the third. The Lady Bulldogs have a runner at second, and that brings up Kendall Downs. Kendall way out in front of the initial offering from Landeros, swings and misses for strike 1. So the 0-1 pitch to Downs on its way, just a bit outside for ball 1. And that'll even the count at a ball and a strike. To the Lady Bulldog center fielder. That one is hit sharply and just to the left of shifting Tanya Navarrete at short. And she does Downs to get to second base on the return throw. So stretching a single into a double is Downs.
Number 23, Riley Jennings.
And that puts Lady Bulldogs at second and third for the leadoff hitter, Riley Jennings. And that ball well up and out and away from Kyla Roberts, but she manages with a very athletic move to get back over to the backstop to corral that and hold the runners where they are. So 1 out here in the top of the third. And the delivery from Landeros up and in to Jennings. So 2 balls and no strikes as it sits now. The 2-0 pitch up in the zone to Jennings brings the count to 3 balls and no strikes. Jennings looking to help the Lady Bulldogs add to their lead, but draws the 1-out walk. And that fills the bases with Lady Bulldogs. As Brooke Castaneda steps in, time called briefly to allow Ivana Garcia time to fix her shoelaces. So one out here in the top of the third, and the bases jammed with Lady Bulldogs, and Brooke Castaneda steps in, takes the initial offering foul behind the first base side of home plate and out of play. So the count now to Castaneda, no balls and one strike. An opportunity here to widen their lead just a bit, have the Lady Bulldogs. And that pitch from Landeros up and away for ball one. So the count now even at a ball and a strike. The Rangerettes, an opportunity with a ground ball here to get an out anywhere on the field. Ooh, what a great off-speed pitch from Landeros. That one catches Castaneda looking for strike two. Ball and two strikes now to Castaneda. The 1-2 delivery. And back to the backstop, but it's a fortunate Rangerette hop right back into the glove of Roberts to continue to hold all three Lady Bulldog runners where they stand. 2-2 now the count to Castaneda. And Landeros winds and delivers. And that one up in the zone for ball three. So the count full now to Castaneda. Landeros trying to keep from just giving the Lady Bulldogs another run, but that pitch is low and bounces into home plate. So the one out walk issued to Castaneda brings another Lady Bulldog run home. 5-1 the score stands now. Emily Bridges settles in. The base is still loaded full of Lady Bulldogs. Takes a pitch up that she has to duck for ball one, and the snap throw to third not really close. Roberts certainly wanting the Lady Bulldog runners to know she sees them. So a ball and no strikes now to Bridges. And that pitch low and away for ball two. 2 balls and no strikes. And that pitch right down the middle, and then Bridges well out in front of it, fouls it off down the third base side for strike one. Now that pushes the count to 2 balls and a strike, with the bases full of Lady Bulldogs. And just one out here in the top of the third. And that ball hit kind of off the handle and high, but fouled, hits the roof of the home side dugout. So certainly out of reach for the oncoming Ivana Garcia, but nonetheless evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes to Bridges. Now that pitch she's well out in front of, and fouled down the third base side again does Bridges. So the count will remain 2-2. With one out here in the top of the third, and the bases jammed with Lady Bulldogs. Landeros toes the rubber, winds and delivers, and that ball hit hard but foul down the third base side. And call it Landeros doing a good job of keeping the Lady Bulldogs a little bit off balance with pitch speed and some to do with location, or the Lady Bulldogs just not being able to quite settle back and get the barrel squarely on the ball out in front. So the 2-2 pitch to Bridges is up high, and that'll fill the count up 3 balls and 2 strikes to Bridges. And she settles in and you gets her swinging on a pitch in the inside part of the plate. Another strikeout for Landeros. Really well-placed ball. And that brings the tally now to 2 outs in this top of the third. The bases, unfortunately, still loaded with Lady Bulldogs. And Natalie Chisholm stepping in. And that ball hit hard, well into left field over the head of Valenzuela. That's going to bring 1 run across, 2 runners across, and that'll clear the bases. So a 2-out double by Natalie Chisholm. The first pitch from Landeros clears the bags and leaves Chisholm standing at second base. And that makes it 8-1. Borger with 2 outs here in the top of the third. 1 runner on at second base, and the pitch well behind the hitter, Jarrah Callahan. And delivery on the 1-0 pitch is up and away from Callahan just a bit to make it 2 balls and no strikes. Callahan had the swinging bunt at her last at-bat, but managed to do the job for the Lady Bulldogs. And that pitch up and away to Callahan. And 3 balls and no strikes as it stands here with 2 out in the top of the third. That pitch well up and away to Callahan. So the 2-out walk issued by Landeros. That puts Lady Bulldogs at first and second, with Kyla Knoll getting loose just to the third base side of the batter's box, as the Rangerettes will take just a moment and gather again inside the circle to say, hey, let's don't lose them here. We're still in this. Let's keep doing what we're doing. And defense has an out on a potential ground ball at any one of the 3 bases other than home plate. So Knoll steps in. Landeros delivers a ball just inside, off the inside part of the plate for ball 1. So as Knoll settles in and touches the outside corner of the plate, she takes the 1-0 delivery high from Landeros. 2 balls and no strikes now. Still runners at first and second for the Lady Bulldogs, but 2 down here in the top of the third. And the delivery, Landeros, a good pitch, catches the top part of the zone for strike 1. And Knoll not offering, so 2 balls and 1 strike now to Knoll. The 2-1 pitch up and just away. And 3 balls now and 1 strike. And Knoll thinking she maybe can get hold of something here. The Landeros would rather not give her the free pass. But that ball up in the zone, and Landeros with another 2-out walk again loads the bases with the Lady Bulldogs for Kylan Saxon as she steps in. Hit a ball hard, line drive to left in her last at-bat. She settles in with the bases loaded and 2 out. Takes a pitch up and away from Landeros, who would rather not give her anything any too pretty to hit, I'm sure, in this situation. The next pitch gets away from Michaela Roberts and call that a pass ball, but that scores another run for the Lady Bulldogs and moves the other runners to second and third for Saxon. So Landeros looking to get the out here. Another pitch just a bit inside. With 3 balls and no strikes now to Saxon. Again with a hard single in her last at-bat. Looks at the 3-0 pitch and working hard. She manages to get that pitch on the ground, and a ground ball right under the glove of shortstop Navarrete, and nobody covering second. Saxon manages to move down there, so a run batted in for Saxon on the misplayed ground ball.
Number 5.
Makes it
Mackenzie
10-1 Borger. And Coach Powell will slowly stride out to the circle and visit with her infield for just a moment. It would appear just in an effort to sort of settle them down. I do not believe there is any pitching change in the works here, but definitely wants to get the girls back on the same page that they were in the first and second innings. This one with 3 more runs on the board for the Lady Bulldogs. Coach Powell wanting to make sure this doesn't get too far out of hand. So number 5, Mackenzie Nivens, stands at the ready for the Lady Bulldogs. Coach Powell disbands her infield. And we will get started again as Joe Gorman, the home plate umpire, makes his way back behind the catcher. Still 2 down
Mackenzie Nivens.
here in the top of the third. Lady Bulldogs at second and third. And Mackenzie Nivens steps in. And she takes the initial offering from Landeros on the inside part of the plate for strike 1. So no balls and a strike. And that one she's well out in front of. Swing and a miss from Nivens. And that ball caught the toe of Gorman as he stood behind Roberts. He takes a moment to shake that off. And then back behind the Rangerette catcher. No balls and 2 strikes. And Nivens manages to just get enough of that ball, foul tip it off the glove of Roberts. Just enough for Nivens to stay alive. There's still no balls and 2 strikes to Nivens. And that ball hit, drifted foul as it rolled down the third baseline, just out of the reach to the right of Ivana Garcia. Nivens doing a good job of staying alive here, but still down in the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Nivens with an opportunity. Lady Bulldogs at second and third, 2 down. And the 0-2 offering is hit again down the third base line, but this time a much better hit for Nivens, and that ball goes straight outside the third baseline for another foul. So still no balls and 2 strikes to Nivens. Landeros thinking maybe she can put this one away right here. It's Nivens to bite on a ball up in the zone, and Nivens fouls that one off straight back and out of play. And Nivens doing a great job of staying alive here. He settles back in to look at another 0-2 pitch. And that one bounces and gets behind Roberts. And the stealing Kyla Knoll from third base manages to come across on the passed ball to make it 11-1 Lady Bulldogs. And with that, Kylan Saxon, the other Lady Bulldog runner, moves over to third. And Nivens has a count now of a ball and 2 strikes. Number 5 sets up, and she nubs one off the end of the bat. Foul that time on the first base side. Good pitch selection from Landeros, making Nivens work hard to stay in the batter's box there. Several foul balls later, a ball and 2 strikes, and that ball, a good piece of hitting, going down and digging that out for a nice single, but the throw accurate and in there, and they got her. Trying to get to second base, and they got Nivens, but she gets the run across, and that makes it 12-1 Borger over the Rangerettes. But a great play there to end the inning by Ivory Chavez. So we'll be back for the home half of the third. Right after this, you're listening to Rangerette Softball on 93.7 My FM.
With faster data speeds on PTCI's new cellular network.
Oh, hi, Mom. Did you make it?
Video call to anywhere in the world.
Come on, come on. Yes.
Game with friends. Go live on your mobile device.
Hey guys, I'm coming at you live from... Where are we?
And find your next destination. Now get more with PTCI's unlimited plan. Call 800-562-2556 or find us on the web at ptci.net. Some restrictions may apply.
To the Lady Bulldogs in the top of the third. So as we stand after 2.5, it's a Borger 12, Perryton 1, with your Rangerettes getting set to start off the bottom half of the third. There's been a pitching change for the Lady Bulldogs. I'm having a hard time making out what they have done. Number 12 is the new Lady Bulldog pitcher. Rayleigh Jennings has moved to second base.
Now batting, number 9, Tommy Navarrete.
So that is Natalie Chisholm, and they have just traded places, is what has happened. So Natalie Chisholm takes over pitching responsibilities for the Lady Bulldogs. And she delivers the first pitch ball to number 9, Tanya Navarrete. And that pitch also inside, so 2 balls and no strikes to Tanya. That one catches the inside part of the plate from Chisholm. So 2 balls and a strike now to Navarrete. Navarrete, a reasonable swing on the 2-1 pitch and fouls it off over and out of play on the first base side to even the count at 2-2. 2-2 pitch, and Navarrete hits one sharply to short, and as it was misplayed by Brooke Castaneda, the throw is not in time. And just like that, the Rangerettes are in business with the leadoff runner aboard in the form of Tanya Navarrete. Now that's going to bring up Maisie McGoy. Who squares to bunt. But that one squibs just foul under her feet back on the third base side for Maisie. Navarrete standing at first with an encouraging clap saying, hey, move me over. And McGoy squares to bunt again, and this time does, but that one turns foul down the third base line. Boy, if that had been a fair ball, that might have squirted past the third baseman and might have allowed both Rangerettes to be safe. So no balls and 2 strikes now to McGoy. He settles in, assuming she will not be bunting now, and doesn't. She hits a little squibber that takes one bounce right into the glove of pitcher Natalie Chisholm. And the throw over to first in plenty of time to get McGoy, but very effectively moves Navarrete to second. Now that brings up Rangerette home run leader Ivana Garcia with a runner at second base, and 1 out here in the bottom of the third. And a pitch over the inside part of the plate, according to Gorman. No balls and a strike on Garcia, who takes a hard swing at that pitch, but just comes up empty. So second verse, same as the first. The count, again, no balls and 2 strikes, this time to Garcia. And that pitch, off speed and well up and out of the zone, runs the count to a ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 to Garcia. And Chisholm delivers, and that ball bounces in over the outside part of the plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now to Garcia. Settles in and touches the outside part of the plate. And hands up high. And this one well swung on, but just under it is Garcia. And she fouls that one back to the backstop on the first base side, but stays alive at 2-2. The runner, Tanya Navarrete, still at second base. And Chisholm sets up and delivers the 2-2 and gets Garcia swinging on the 2-2 pitch. So 2 away for the Rangerettes here in the bottom of the third.
Now batting, number 21, Nicola Roberts.
Dalia Bessaril steps in, and she hits a ground ball under the glove of the third baseman, and that's going to bring Tanya Navarrete all the way around from second base, and Bessaril makes her way over to second on the attempted play at home. So a 2-out RBI single for Bessaril brings the run home. And is the second actual hit of the game for the Rangerettes. And that brings in Maya Valenzuela, who fouls off the initial offering from Natalie Chisholm to the first base side. So Valenzuela steps back in, 0-1. She hits one to third base, but that ball squirts off the glove of the third baseman, and that's going to bring Bessaril all the way home from second base. So things appear to be a little bit hotter than Lady Bulldog third baseman Emily Bridges and handle. That's 2 basically off her glove now. So another ground ball and another run for the Rangerettes, who have something brewing here with 2 outs in the bottom of the 3rd. So Kylie Cowan steps in and looks at ball 1 up and away, with Valenzuela now standing at first base. And that pitch to Cowan right down the middle. So 1 ball and 1 strike now to the Rangerette designated player. So the 1-1 delivery is swung on and missed by Cowan, who runs the count to a ball and 2 strikes now for Kylie as she settles back in. Valenzuela at first, and that ball rolled in to the catcher right over the plate. But as several umpires have told me, we are not bowling. So 2-2 to Cowan. And that pitch, a called 3rd strike right at the knees, and gets the Lady Bulldogs out of the inning, does Chisholm, but not before the Rangerettes can bring home 2 more runs on 2 hits and leave 1 more runner on base. So after 3 complete, the Lady Bulldogs 12, the Rangerettes 3, and we'll be back right after this on 93.7 My FM. So the Rangerettes will break up the meeting inside the circle as they set to start the top of the 4th inning. They did leave 1 runner, Maya Valenzuela, stranded at first base, but do manage to cut the Lady Bulldog lead to 9. So leading off the top of the 4th from the Lady Bulldogs, Kendall Downs. And she takes a pitch up for ball 1, and the second pitch from Micah Landeros is called inside for ball 2, and Landeros doesn't really like that call. The next pitch over the outside corner for strike 1 from Landeros. 2 balls and a strike now to Kendall Downs, the Lady Bulldog center fielder. 2-1. She catches that one on the ground and just outside the reach of diving Navarrete for a single for Downs. Scooting into left field. Quickly corralled by Valenzuela and returned to McGoy at second base. But a leadoff hit for the Lady Bulldogs here in the top of the 4th. And that brings second baseman now, Rayleigh Jennings, to the plate. She takes ball 1 low and a snap throw down to first base. Not in time to get the straying Downs. So 1-0, and that pitch catches Jennings right on the left hip. So the second hit by pitch allowed or given up by Landeros puts the Lady Bulldogs at first and second. Now with Brooke Castaneda settling in, she looks at the initial offering from Landeros high for ball one, attempts to bunt the second pitch on the outside part of the plate and misses. So a ball and a strike now to Castaneda, with Jennings, the runner at first base for the Lady Bulldogs. And that pitch kind of squibbed and hit and bounces right in front of the shortstop, but they managed to get the ball to Garcia, who touches third base before Kendall Downs can get there. So one out now in the top of the fourth. A pretty good heads-up play there by Navarrete to get Downs at third base. So as Emily Bridges settles in, she fouls off the first pitch on the third base side for strike one. The runner still at first and second for the Lady Bulldogs. And Bridges takes the 0-1 high for ball one. And that evens the count at a ball and a strike to Bridges. And that one high causes Bridges to duck and almost doesn't get the bat out of the way, which could have been bad news for the Lady Bulldog hitter, but 2 balls and a strike now. And that one up in the zone, and Bridges well under it, fouls it back and out of play over the backstop and the press box. And that evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes to the Lady Bulldog third baseman. The 2-2 pitch inside fills it up. 3 balls and 2 strikes now to Bridges, with an opportunity here with 1 out in the top of the fourth to add to their lead. And she looks at the 3-2 pitch up and away for ball 4. So that fills the bases up with Lady Bulldogs again. Well, getting runners on is just so critical. That brings in Natalie Chisholm, an opportunity to do some damage here. Chisholm, with a double in her last at-bat, cleared the bases in the same situation. Up with bases loaded and hit one all the way to the left center fence for a bases clearing double. That pitch outside to Chisholm, ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. And that one inside, causing Chisholm to throw her feet backwards and the bat out in front of her to avoid getting hit. 3 balls, no strikes now to Chisholm. 1 out here in the top of the fourth. And that ball up and away for the 1 out walk to Chisholm. And that will score another Lady Bulldog and keep the bases loaded. So the Rangerettes will take just a moment and gather inside the circle in an effort to settle down their pitcher and keep the defense focused. And as they break up the meeting inside the circle, that brings Jera Callahan to the plate. No, I'm wrong about that, folks. But she takes a pitch. That's going to be Braley Richburg hitting for Jera Callahan. And she looks at the first pitch inside for strike one. Swings at the second pitch inside. Strike two to Richburg. So very quickly, Landeros well ahead in the count, 0-2. The 0-2 pitch just up in the zone, apparently. And it looks like the Rangerettes have got an opportunity to get an out at home plate, and they do. Caught a runner straying off second base. And the snap throw from Landeros to second results in McGoy making a great throw to Roberts behind the plate. And they get the runner trying to sneak home. But she wasn't fooling anybody. So 2 outs now in the top of the fourth. And the 0-2, the 1-2 strike pitch to Richburg is high for ball 2, and that snap throw to third base is high and gets away from Garcia, allowing another Lady Bulldog to score and the runner from second to advance to third. So 2 balls, 2 strikes now to Richburg. And that ball, she's well out in front of and fouls off weakly down the third base side. But managing to fight that off well does Braley. So still 2-2. The 2-2 pitch to Richburg hit hard down the third baseline, but wide of third base for a foul ball. So the count remains 2-2, but 2 out here now in the top of the fourth. The Lady Bulldogs lead it 14-3. And that pitch just a bit inside to Richburg. And that fills the count up at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Landeros sets and delivers the 3-2 pitch, and that one swung on and missed by Richburg to end the Bulldog half of the fourth. But the Lady Bulldogs get 2 more runs on no hits and leave one stranded. So as we move to the home half of the fourth inning, it's the Borger Lady Bulldogs 14, Perryton Rangerettes 3. And you're listening to Rangerette Softball right here on 93.7 My FM. So after 3.5 at Rangerette Field, the Rangerettes are down to the Lady Bulldogs of Borger by the score of 14-3. But leading off the home half of the fourth inning, going to be Rangerette first baseman Camry Curl. Looking to get things started against Natalie Chisholm, the relief pitcher for the Lady Bulldogs. The initial offering from Chisholm not even attempted at by catcher Jarrett Callahan. That one well up and away from Curl for ball one. Well, the second pitch also up and away. And Curl doing a good job of laying off that pitch and is ahead in the count now, 2 balls and no strikes. Curl sets up. It's the 0-2 pitch right down the middle for strike one. Curl didn't even offer at that one. Probably not a terrible idea until you see a strike. So 2 balls and a strike here. And that one up and away, but swung on by Curl and missed for strike 2. So Curl now looking to stay alive here, find a way to get on base. And that off-speed pitch well up and away to to fill the count up at 3 balls and 2 strikes to Curl. So she settles in, and the 3-2 delivery is well outside for ball 4. So here in the bottom of the 4th, the Rangerettes have a little something going with the in-one Camry Curl. That brings up your pitcher, Micah Landeros, looking to move Curl over. And she squares to bunt and does very successfully. Keeps that one in the field of play, just outside the batter's box in fair territory. And pitcher successfully executes that play and gets Landeros at first, but does move the runner over to second base.
Now batting, number 5.
Curl stands at second base and in strides Ivory Chavez. And the Rangerette right fielder squares to bunt and attempts to, but it squirts foul. Catches, it looked like. 2 balls and no strikes. So the 2-0 delivery well outside to Navarrete again. 3-0 to the Rangerette shortstop. So she settles in with 3 balls and no strikes and takes the 3-0 offering right down the middle for strike 1. Still very much a hitter's count for Navarrete, 3-1, and she hits a ball hard, but right at the shortstop, who makes a throw that's low and gets away from the first. So we get set for the top half of the 5th inning here at Rangerette Field. The Rangerettes down to the lead. 1, 2, 3 go the Lady Bulldogs, and that'll move us to the middle of the 5th, and we'll be back with the Rangerette half of the 5th inning after this. You're listening to Rangerette Softball on 93.7 My FM. The 5th, and that brings in Ivana Garcia. Swings at the initial offering from Chisholm and comes up empty for strike 1. And Garcia, looking to be the Rangerette first base runner this inning, looks at a pitch down the middle for a called second strike by Joe Gorman. And just like that, Garcia in a bit of a hole here, 0-2. Dogs, this time by the score of 14-3. But again, some positives for the Rangerettes. They held the Lady Bulldogs to 1 run lower total than in their first meeting. And the Rangerettes with that will fall to 0-6 in this district season after the first game of the midway point. And that'll put the Lady Bulldogs at 3-3.